Hey everyone, it's Connor again. I'm going to be summarizing Introduction to Process Relational Philosophy, and I'm going to be breaking this down into three different distinct parts. So, first, I'm going to explain basically the ingredients, the components of process relational philosophy, how it's applicable as far as the content that we have been kind of interpreting throughout the semester, and then the personal relationship that I have with this philosophy and kind of integrating some of my ideals with it. Now, this is totally unscripted. I don't have a book in front of me. I have no content. I'm just going off of my memory and my understanding of the concepts as they pertain throughout this course. Now, process relational philosophy has to do with our understanding of the world around us, what we are, how we fit into it, and what it means to be alive. Now, the components of that, the ingredients start with us, our five senses, our ability to comprehend and understand the world around us, um, the order of events. So, the kind of subject idea of, you know, are we in an active state of becoming? Are events already predetermined, right? So there's that component as well, and then our relationship with God. So a higher power or deity controlling these things, or are events already self-actualized onto themselves without a god or a deity guiding these things, right? So in philosophy and in process relational philosophy, we're grappling with all of these ideas of how do we live in this world, what does it mean to be human, and what actually is versus what could be. And these ideas are highly debated. They are not set in stone. Different philosophers have different ideas for how we live. But the big concept is that catches on to me is being in an active state of becoming, right? So the idea that things are not predetermined, but God basically, his relationship with us is creating invitations for us to acquire opportunities that have not yet been perceived. Every second that is passing by is a second that has not existed before. And it's the algorithm of life that creates the next second or the very next moment. In process relational philosophy, our job is to interpret everything that we have around us, everything that we can perceive, and create an idea of what is as a result of it. So, looking around here, I can use my eyes to predetermine what's around the room, and I can safely judge what I'm going to see in the next second or two or minute or two. I can touch, I can feel things around me, I can hear inputs, I can hear the boiler in the next room. I can't smell much right now, honestly. There's really never really a smell down here. But all of these things come together in our understanding of how the world is going to be, what it is becoming in the next moment or two, right? But our field of understanding of what the world is confined to a very narrow sliver of what it actually is. The world is in a constant state of becoming, and we have a limited window that we can peer through to understand exactly what is becoming, right? So, another concept when thinking about through this frame of the world being in a constant state of becoming is, do we have a fundamental responsibility to self-determine our choices, how we affect others? My answer would be an absolute yes. If the world is not set on a predetermined path that gives us the individuality to make self-determined decisions about everything we do, right? Everything that you do is deliberate, and it should be understood as such. Another thing about philosophy, a very common thing that happens when you're thinking about these subject ideas and topics, and you're trying to apply the situational awareness of the world to a philosophical ideal, to something that you can personally relate yourself to, is overthinking it and getting lost in the abstract of philosophy instead of actually focusing on your actuality and your relationship with the world and just doing and surging ahead, right? It's really easy to get caught in your own head with these ideas because a lot of what philosophy is are ideas that often can contradict themselves when taken from another viewpoint, right? So philosophy is all about the abstract. So in process relational philosophy, you're taking those ideas that are in the abstract and you're connecting them to real world instances and scenarios, and trying to basically take everything that is abstract and connect it with your life and try to create something useful out of it, because we only have one life. We only have one chance to get it right, as far as we know. Who knows? After we die, there could be something on the other side. There could be this and that. But the simple answer is we don't know. We are in a state of becoming. We don't know where we'll end up at the end. The end of our story is not yet written. Now, I think what's important is to definitely ponder on these ideas, but also act upon what you hope to achieve in the future and what you hope to gain out of your state of becoming, right? Even though you're not there, you're not ahead in time, you're only present in the moment, and you're only remembering the things of the past that made you who you are. Our past dictates and guides our decisions, but we can decide what dictates our future, right? To a certain extent. Being in a state of becoming, being who we are as individuals, we have very little control over what nature and what things around us are in that state of becoming. But what we do have control over is what goals we set and what we do for ourselves to create that future, to use our process relational understanding of the past events that coalesce into who we are now, understand what we have to identify and be able to process the things around us, and then take all of that and set little breadcrumbs into the future of where we want to be, and set a standard for ourselves to take the steps to get there, to achieve that, right? You want to create the most fulfilling life for yourself possible. And to do that, you need to understand what that even looks like, to imagine for yourself what that looks like, to imagine the responsibility that you have for the world around you, for your peers, for the people around you, and for yourself, to gain the maximum satisfaction, right? This is how I kind of interpret those ideas. I try to break it down from the abstract using process relational philosophy. I'm saying that word so many times, and breaking it down into something real that applies to you, that's a little bit more in tune with your understanding of the world. And it's different for every one person. Everyone has a different viewpoint and different understanding of every situation that happens. It's very important to be calm, patient, and break down each idea, right? Break down each idea into something that you can use. And I think that's all I have to say. Take those 3 steps, understand the past that once was, live in the present that is, and create the future that you want.